Hello everyone and welcome to the second lesson, the beginning of commercial email, with myself, Anthony Mitchell, and Florian Vierke. Hello Florian,
Hi, Anthony.
how are you doing today?
I'm fine. So you can see it's a bit dark already, so we are recording in the middle of the night, but that's fine. So I'm looking forward to this nice topic that is the beginning of commercial email. Wow.
Yes, and I think we've discovered now so far the history of email, and we've gone into commercial email. So really, it's just to get everyone on the same page and to show what we've come from and where we are today, in rough terms of okay how email has developed along the way. So I'll be referring to the my blog post quite a lot, as well as we have some infographic that could be quite cool to look at.
Yeah, the infographic is really great. And so when did it start? In 1978 with the first email addresses, but that was not really commercial, right? So in the very beginning, email was more yeah, personal. I think the first commercials were starting with what would you say was CompuServe?
CompuServe, yeah. In fact, there's Eudora in
80s?
1988. So that was a
Yeah,
long
great.
time ago. And then we went to CompuServe, MCI Mail, and then I think this is where we can pick it up running, so to speak. Lotus Notes. Have you had any experience with Lotus Notes? Remember back in the day, good old Lotus Notes?
No, never worked with it, but I know that some companies are still using it, and it's really its own universe, kind of. Some people swear that it's really brilliant, and some others don't know. Um, yeah. So have you?
Yeah, I mean, I remembered back in the day when we had some rendering issues. This was a long time ago. This is when I first started to work in email, and we had some clients that perhaps weren't fully integrated between Lotus Notes and Outlook. So now we start to where businesses went from Lotus Notes to Outlook, and that was in around well 92. That's when Outlook was at least brought out. But a lot of companies and business to business they are using Outlook now, and so that's my recollection of it.
But I have one question. What do you understand with commercial mail? Do you understand that email is used in business purpose, or do you understand that the first free mailers, for example, have been starting with the business model of selling advertisement and giving away inboxes for free to a private person? What would you say? What's your
I
point
think
here?
it's a bit of both. I remember my first recollection was with a an email address for that was based upon my ISP, and it was NTL World at the time, and we had like dial-up internet connection,
When
and we
was
were
it?
given. Sorry, when was it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at before the millennium, so must be mid nineties. Must be
Mid 90s.
mid nineties to end nineties, end of the nineties. So we were given a free email address, and it kind of went in there with that. So a lot of email addresses they came with an ISP because they came hand in hand as a package. You had the internet, and then you had the email. But then beyond that, you had the other big players. So then you know you're looking at the beginning like AOL, Yahoo. You got mail. If you remember those browsers. How about yourself? What's your
Mid 90s.
recollection?
Mid
Mid
90s.
nineties.
I wasn't aware that you have been using email at that time. I think
Oh,
you have been 10 years old, right?
I used to send all my teachers emails. Oh yeah.
Your
I
teacher.
didn't.
This is Anthony.
No,
I
I didn't.
forgot
I
my
did.
homework. The dog ate.
The
The
thing
dog
is,
ate my
I wasn't.
homework.
I wasn't sending emails per se, but I had an email address with the ISP.
Yeah, your teachers
Um,
had email addresses already because today, even today, teachers don't have email addresses.
well,
They
I
doing
don't know about
copies,
that.
hard copies.
They do hard copies. Some of them interact with, I say it because I have many children, of course. Um,
I have
No, no. My little brother, for example, when he has homework and whatnot, they interact with email. So I think teachers today are working with emails. But yeah, my recollection was yeah, it was a long time ago. Then we have AOL to Echo Mail in '95, and then the big one that you must, of course, remember, Hotmail.
Yeah, of course. Still today, one of the biggest players. In the beginning, Hotmail was independent and really, really brilliant web service. Before it was bought by Microsoft, and today it's still so the domain is still existing, but it's integrated in MS Outlook, and Outlook is a brilliant web service as well in my eyes. So from the big ones in the beginning, AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, they all are still existing, but have been developing in kind of different ways. And one point that is very interesting to me is that Gmail started really, really late. So when we look at AOL
It did.
93 and Hotmail 96, Yahoo 97, and Gmail started in 2007. And when they started, not even everybody was able to get an email address because it was invite only, and I was not invited at that time.
Oh, I'm
Have
sorry
you
to hear
been?
that, Florian. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You know,
I'm
you're
still
invited to
sad.
my party though. Yeah, I was invited by a friend, not by Gmail themselves. So I was using Hotmail at the time, and then Gmail came up, and then I think I remember speaking of this before. When Gmail first came out, I think they gave like a gigabyte of storage space, so it was a massive game changer. Hotmail was megabytes, wasn't it? You could only send a certain amount
Yeah.
of or save a certain amount of images or whatnot, or send as
Until
attachment.
until 2010 or later, 12, or don't know exactly the year. Um, some German hosters still just provided 2 megabyte for the whole inbox, which is ridiculous because even single emails with one attachment of an image or PDF were already bigger than the whole mailbox. But still, you're completely right. For Gmail, that was a that was a massive game changer, and they not only because of the mailbox size, they also introduced conversation view, which was for webmailers, at least at that time, completely new. And yeah, given their status over the years, they were able to introduce more and more technologies and also drive technologies. For example, the authentication methods.
Yeah, I mean, Gmail quite cutting edge, particularly as they joined the story late. What you've seen as well at the start to summarize. So you saw a lot of web like standalone, where you had to perhaps have a software to open and read email, and then it went towards web browsing. So you had the Hotmail, Yahoo approach, and then beyond that and present, it's now mobile.
Yeah,
So there we can see it's evolved as well as we've had a change of the guard, but it's also evolved how we actually read email and communicate with each other.
and that's one really interesting point because many people still also today say email is dead, and the proof is that email is not used anymore for private communication in their eyes. Instead, people use WhatsApp and so on, which is true on one side, but in the end, the biggest boost for email was, or one of the biggest boosts was when email was moving to the mobile devices. That at that time, people have been able to read email on their mobile device, which was not possible before, and that was massively boosting email. And still today, it's a primary key for most web services. So instead of username, think about username, you have your email address. You just need to think about passwords, and that's how email is still one of the most important technologies and will stay. So at the moment, I think we are around 3.6 billion email addresses or users of
Yeah,
emails
even nearly
at the
4 billion.
moment.
Yeah.
How many do you have? 1 billion.
How many users?
Oh,
On the CDs that I
email
steal
email addresses.
from
AOL
my
CDs.
from the car boot sales that I attend every weekend. I've got quite a lot of data. Yes. No, I'm joking. On that note, I think this takes us in nicely into the third lesson of our series: security threats and cyber attacks.
Yeah.
Talking about data and whatnot. So I think we've summarised it well. Do you have anything else to add, Florian, on the
Yeah,
previous?
I do. Normally I say no, but this time I do. One thing, thinking about commercial email in my eyes that is really relevant is that the business model also has changed, and there's also new business models. So in the very beginning, the free mailers were the key, and the business model behind is selling advertisement. So displaying advertisement, also subscribing to mandatory newsletters and sending offers, whatever. And in the past, after the security breaches and the Snowden affair and whatever, some services really started to see a business model in selling security. In Germany, for example, there's two services called Posteo and Mailbox.org primarily, and they have paid services for email.
Yes.
But for the paid service, you get a mailbox with every security detail that's available. You get a guarantee for web space that is encrypted and hosted in Germany. And so if you really think about your data protection stuff, privacy and so on, that's really a service, and that's quite interesting, and it's running well. Don't know. Do you have such stuff in UK as well? Such
Yeah,
services?
it's a good point. I think we do have some services. Not to go too far away from it. So it's also important. Another takeaway I'd say to add to that is that commercial email. A lot of the ISPs that are involved today are actually there to combat things like spam as well. So they have like a working group, an industry to work and go against spam, but also it's in their best interests to allow their clients to send freely on these platforms. I mean, that's where the money is for them. So it's almost like, combating against spam, but also allowing that business to happen. So that's the bit I would add to that.
Brilliant. So
Nice one.
if you would like to say a special thanks to one person this week for this episode, what would you say? Who's your man?
My man, well, for this episode, you're good at putting me on the spot, aren't you? Um, I guess
Charlie
I could.
for helping you.
Yeah, it could be my little brother Charlie for recording the video. It would be yourself, and I think we're gonna cut this bit anyway. Um, no,
Yeah, we do. Maybe.
no, it's
Don't
okay.
know.
Let's see.
Let's see.
We've got editing rights. Okay, cool. So thanks very much everyone for listening to this episode, and we will see you next week for security threats and cyber attacks. Thank you, Florian.
Let's do that. Thanks, Anthony. See you next week.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Dum 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 da 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 da